gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's May 6, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, here to discuss the news of the day. We've given Matt Shodell the day off because today we're going to do this a little bit differently with NIL and the NCAA task force getting involved and making so much news, not just here in South Florida, but all around the country. I thought today would be a good day for us to sit down and bring John Ruiz into the show and let him talk a little bit about what's going on, his thoughts on the NCAA getting involved, his thoughts on the different controversies that are surrounding NIL, and give everybody out there a chance to just become a little bit more educated on the world of NIL. All right, so we're here with John Ruiz. And John, on this show every day, we talk about the news of the day. And it just seems like every day the news of the day is NIL, it's Lifewallet, and it's yourself. I think I was telling you the other day, I went to a national conference of people from all different schools around the country. And everybody wanted to talk to me about was you and the NIL program at Miami and the impact that it's making on college sports. And I guess the first thing I should ask you is, you've got to be surprised at just how big this has become so quickly.
I'm surprised at how big it's become to an extent. In my career, generally, everything I've done, when I did a mortgage foreclosure defense platform, it grew into the biggest in the country. As you know, MSP, has grown into the biggest in the country. I try to always do things different than what everybody else does. So I guess, to a certain extent, even with MSP, when I did MSP, I didn't think it was going to be that big. But, I kind of, which is kind of weird, right? I never studied marketing. I became an attorney, as everyone knows. But because I did, television live and I had my own studio, I think I kind of get the sense of what people want is what my best explanation is. And, to give you an example, like when we were entering into the deal with Nigel Pack, a lot of people were saying, because Nigel was okay with disclosing the amount, the agent was okay with disclosing the amount. And a lot of people said, well, why are you going to put the amount? And I said, well, because that's the exact reason why particularly that he's in the portal, he's the number one player. It kind of sets sort of like the guide for what's going on. And, I guess whether it's because of experience or luck or whatever you want to do, we got over 5 million, sort of hits on that. It's pretty damn good, in my opinion. So I think it kind of goes along with, what the objective is.
With the objective is, yeah, which I think people are overlooking that a little bit because their perception is that what NIL is right now is just essentially putting money in kids' pockets and enticing them to come to certain schools. It's in a lot of people's minds, it's gotten away from, I guess, what it is at its core, which is name, image, likeness, and a value based on what certain kids might be worth or not worth in that regard.
Look, I think with anything in life, if you do things the right way and for its intended purpose, you get the right result. If you use something, I've done a lot of product liability cases in my life. It's almost, you got a chair, right? A chair is to sit in, but a lot of people get it and they stand on it and they get injured sometimes. So I think ultimately what we got to understand, name, image, and likeness is not about how good an athlete you're dealing with. And the reason why I could say that is you've seen, we have 111 athletes, whether they're completely signed up or in the process of being signed up. They're all different types of, student athletes. There's some that are volleyball players, and a lot of people don't even follow volleyball. I think the biggest surprise was the long snapper, which was the first NIL deal for a long snapper. And everybody was saying, well, you're crazy. Why are you doing the long snapper? I said, because this isn't about how great an athlete the person is. So I'll tell you what we're doing next. We're actually going to do a competition nationwide of who is the best long snapper, who can snap the ball the furthest and the most accurate. So what you find, Gary, is that, people are always focusing on the same thing. Who's the best quarterback? Who's the best wide receiver? Who's the best running back? And you start getting into this kind of trend. So I usually come in and, I've been named a disruptor before. And that's kind of what I do. I come into industries and I disrupt it, but I think I disrupt it in a very favorable way. And I open people's eyes to what really should be happening and how things should be done. So in my eyes, when people start criticizing what I do, I feel super comfortable. I mean, I sleep really well at night because I know that if the NCAA wants to investigate anything and everything we do, I have all the paperwork. I have all the proof that the players are working. I have the proof that we pay them. I have everything. So I'm not scared of that. And that's the reason why I would never do a collective and why I would never be involved in a 501c3. And, some people will disagree with me, but I, think, in my opinion, that because I have a long history of litigation experience. See, when I prepare things, I think of a guy like me going into court and trying to destroy your platform. So that's how I build it. So I build it like, if I have a guy like John Ruiz is going to come in and cross-examine me, how can I defend it? So the reason why I build the platforms the way that I do is just for that. I also think that people lose sight of what's in the best interest of these student athletes, right? When you do family law, like as an attorney, and you go to family court and there are kids involved in a separation or a divorce, the judges are looking for what's in the best interest of the children, right? This is the way that I look at it. What's in the best interest of these student athletes? And, Gary, you and I are older than these student athletes, obviously, and there's an administration, and I think that we'd be sort of not doing the right thing if we were just thinking of winning and not thinking how impactful this could be for these kids' lives. So when you start talking about, a player like Isaiah Wong, and everybody starts to criticize Wong, and, they were kind of really getting on his case in social media, and I think they were upset, and the mom was upset and the agent was upset. I helped. I basically sort of, like, my opinion is I came to the rescue and said, listen, let's be realistic about this. Isaiah, his mom, and to a large part, a lot of the lawyers in the country and a lot of the agents have what I call theoretical experience. Yeah, they can put something on paper, it looks well, but there's a difference between theory and reality. In theory, you could be a great coach and you can design everything, but the player is the one that knows that when they go, for a down and out and the ball gets thrown them and you got a guy, coming at, 18 to 20 miles an hour and is going to smack you and you got to hold on to the ball. Now that's reality and that's experience. What I think, in my opinion, that I bring to the table that I think people are starting to realize is I'm a guy with a lot of experience. I have got a lot of experience in business and got a lot of experience in litigating against major companies, much bigger than the NCAA or the FHSA. I deal with the Johnson & Johnsons of the world and, the State Farms and the Allstates and the Geicos. And these are massive, companies that have, and they lawyer up. And that's what I'm up against all the time. And that's what I got to, design and protect for the players. And quite frankly, I find myself in a position where I need to defend the player. I need to defend the school, because at the end of the day, what people haven't realized is that if I make a mistake, Lifewallet, Sig, or we make a mistake, the ones that get harmed are the kids in the school. And, somebody may be really selfish and says, well, I don't care. But I do care, because to me, I see it that the student athlete is probably the most important. And then the university second. The university is not going anywhere. UM's been there. It's going to continue to be there. More athletes are going to come by. Do I love UM? Of course, I went through there. My kids went through there. But a lot more people are going to go through there. And what we need to do is make sure that we give the good experience at many different levels to those student athletes that are going through that university. And we can't lose sight either of things of like what you do, Gary, you bring a very important component of what happens to bring to the general public, to the Cane fans and everybody else, what goes on behind the scenes. It's easy to kind of just look at the game, but what happens? The game's 3 hours long. What happens when practice? What happens when these kids go home? They're all human beings just like we are. They feel bad, they got headaches, they don't do well in exams, or they're nervous. They're nervous about the game. They're nervous about their education. Am I going to pass the test? Everybody's got problems. I got them too. I'm no different than anybody else. We all live and we have kids and we have problems and we have issues. That's just being a human being, right?
Yeah, and part of that has been showing the kids in your domain when they're in your office, because there's so many questions about NIL because it's so new. And when you first got into this and I first met you, I didn't really know what to think about it. I obviously I saw the benefits it could have for the program. And as I got to know you and come to your house and come to your office, see your interactions with the kids, see what you're trying to teach them, seeing how they respond to it, see how their self-esteem grows as they film these commercials and stuff that we show every day on the show. I really get to see it in a little bit of a closer way than most people. And I see the sparring matches that go on with you and people all over the country online.
But look, let's be fair to the general public also, right? We as human are always skeptical. And when I started doing this, I don't blame you. You were skeptical too. You didn't know where I was coming from. You didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know me personally.
I was open-minded. I didn't know you. And
right,
I wasn't, I got to tell you, but I wanted to see what it was all about. And you invited me to your house and we sat there for an hour.
So I'll tell you the history of my life personally. This isn't the first or the last time. I'm a guy that if you don't know me, people tend to sort of dislike me and question it. The people that know me, they're solid with me. You can talk to anybody that really, really knows me will tell you, how I am. I'm not BSing these kids. These kids have a great relationship with me. They feel super comfortable. Their families feel super comfortable. I'm a stickler for, detail. I'm speaking to the compliance department of the University of Miami all the time. With Craig Anderson, we go back and forth on what the laws are. I go back and forth with Darren Heitner. I go back with a lot of lawyers to see what their interpretation of all these particular laws and situations are. I always take the most conservative approach to anybody else. And I think if you talk to them, they're going to tell you, yeah. So, because I'm not going to expose, if I was taking a risk myself for my business, just to take a risk, because obviously you take a risk in anything you do, is one thing. I cannot, in good conscience, place a kid's eligibility at risk, because I just won't do it. It's not in me. So if there are two things that are even remotely questionable, I just won't do it, because it's not me that gets punished. It's the kids. And I'd feel really, really bad if that was to happen. And obviously, there's a risk to everything, and I'm trying to do as best as possible and look at every little issue. But that's just the reality of how this kind of, pans out. And look, from a business perspective, because, as much as I want to help the kids and I love the University of Miami and everything we do, I have a fiduciary responsibility as the chief, executive officer of the companies that I run. They got to be profitable. They got to do the right thing. You got to put the resources in the right places. I'm super comfortable. And actually, internally, my internal team is, super sort of, I guess, impressed of how well this has gone. But that's no different than what normally happens, because when I started MSP, nobody believed it could work. When we, handled the cases, people thought it couldn't be certified. It's always been an uphill battle for me, from day one that I've ever started, and then people become believers when they see it. My personal opinion is that Lifewallet and cigarette platform should be used in the entire country as a model for how to do an NIL platform the right way. And I got no issues with somebody mimicking what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, my view of this is that it is more important to me for every student athlete in the nation to be compensated than for me or anybody at UM to be selfish and just, do it for the people that go through UM. I think that would be a selfish move. So I'm open. Like I'm actually going to put together a seminar first for players across the nation and parents across the nation. I think they're at a disadvantage. And you're dealing with people that are in an industry, right? There are lawyers, there are agents, there are people that have a lot of business experience. And I said this, this morning in the Joe Rose show. What kind of human being would I be if I exerted the knowledge and pressure that I could exert over, a student athlete like Isaiah Wong, and just, be tough with him about, the position that they took? No, absolutely not. In fact, I don't know if you've seen, some of the tweets. We actually have them right now on a huge electronic billboard heading east to west on the 395, I think, is the highway. And it states, because once you get off there, you go to the right is where we're having the event tomorrow night, which is the event over the weekend for F1. And it says, make a right, you can't go wrong. Right?
Yeah, I'll play it right now. I have one of the commercials queued up here. Let me just.
Lifewallet can save my life, and it can save your life too. The time is now. Join me and my fellow Hurricanes at the Lunacy Races.
I think I recognize the guy driving the boat.
That to me is fun. That to me is exciting. It's exciting for the player. I'm going to meet Nigel Pack in person tonight. I've met Norchad Omier. Look at the punter Headley. He's back in his country now to film the commercials. I mean, this stuff is fun. You do it with the youngsters. They're learning. They're excited. The Cavender twins are in town. They're coming with the parents. I mean, honestly, money can't pay for that. That to me is an experience that even for me is very unique. And when I'm able to do it with my kids, and I'm able to share that with the Cane fan community, and be on a show like this with you, I mean, I find that to be incredible and very positive just all around.
All right, I know you're busy. You got boat races to run this weekend. We'll talk about that more again in a minute, but I do want to ask you a couple things. The one question I can't answer that I get asked all the time is, why did John Ruiz suddenly choose NIL to become almost like your full-time job, quite frankly? I mean, you're spending so much time on these contracts with these kids, filming the commercials. Why NIL, John? Why did you choose this as your vehicle over now?
So a couple things, right? So number one, I think it all starts off with July of 2021. We sign a humongous deal, which is a $32.6 billion deal to take MSP public. You've probably read already, we got SEC approval late last week. It's set to close now on May the 20th. I'm in a business and in a space that's very, very, very unique. It's very difficult to understand what we do, but it's really mammoth. It deals with a addressable market in the range of almost $4 trillion a year, which is what the government between the government and private spending is on healthcare. So I need to get the message out of what it is. And we developed about 6 years ago the thought process. It wasn't called Lifewallet at the time. It was called Claims to Med. And I developed this software system and idea of how I could get people's historical medical records and pharmaceutical records to help them save their lives and make the whole process flow easier, because there's a huge flaw, with healthcare data, so on and so forth. So I actually go out to Diana Diaz and I go, look, we got to put commercials out. Forget about NIL for now, right? So we got to put out commercials. We got to do a bunch of stuff. We got to be on the radio. We got to be on social media. We need to get on billboards. And so she came back with a proposal, and it was like $1.6 million for 1 week. 1 week. And I said, okay, this is not the way to get the message out. This is crazy because people don't even know what it is, and there's no continuity. So along the way, this whole thing, like, I'm always, watching sports and listening to sports and stuff like that. And, I'm talking to my kids, and we're always, involved in talking about you in baseball and you in football and you in basketball and just all the sports and the other schools and the Marlins and the Dolphins and that kind of thing. So I see that, there's talks about, wow, Manny's, Diaz not doing the job, which, by the way, I think Manny Diaz as a person is an amazing human being. And I litigated against his dad, which is a great guy also. And all these things going on. And I start talking to my kids and they say, like, look, one of the reasons is because there's no stadium, right? And I go, I know there's no stadium. And now we're in a position where we can financially, create a stadium. It's a great thing. I've been in there, it could help the Dade County Public Schools. And this whole conversation starts, and I start to develop in my head, look, I only sleep 3.5 hours, and you say you're spending all your time on NIL. I'm not. I'm spending sometimes significant
It seems that way. I've been online at 1 o'clock in the morning and watched you going back and forth with people.
Right. Well, I only sleep 3 hours, so it depends on when I start to sleep, right? And I'll wake up after the 2 hours, and I'll get all my stuff. I'm a very efficient worker that I am, so I can get a lot of things done. And I have an amazing people around me. I mean, just phenomenal people that live and die with what we do, and they just enjoy it. And so it's really, really good stuff. So anyways, this all starts to kind of surface, right? And I start to create and assemble in my mind how I'm going to roll it out. And this was exactly how I wanted to roll it out. It was, we're going to film commercials. Nobody does this. We're not just going to go and film the star athletes, and we're going to incentivize the kids. We had read the United States Supreme Court case. I read all the Florida law, and I read all the NCAA. I'm very familiar with it. And that's how it's kind of started to take off. So I'll tell you to deviate, for just 1 second. So I go today to the old Miami Herald location, which obviously they knocked it down, and that's where we're having a major event tomorrow. By the way, there's already over 4,000 tickets claimed, so it's going to be a mammoth event, and more and more people between tonight and tomorrow. It'll be a frenzy. And I got there, and it's about boat races really in Miami Beach, and we haven't had boat races in Miami Beach. I'm just gonna say 15 years. It may be a little bit more, a little bit less, but more or less 15 years. And I see a bunch of people that have been in boat racing for a long, long time, and they're like super excited. They're like, they thought I was God, like, oh my God, you brought boat racing back. And then all of a sudden, I tell the people of my company, I said, I'm super pumped, because being able to bring things to your community like that, bringing people together, bringing the excitement, bringing tourism back, bringing, this excitement about the University of Miami, the excitement about, the NIL platform. I mean, look, we got all eyes on us, setting aside Lifewallet and cigarette. We've created a really, really good following for our community. And, we're here. At least I'm here in Miami-Dade County and in Coral Gables and the University of Miami. This is what somebody else in Texas or California should be doing for their community. I'm very happy that my kids have joined forces with me. I'm being able to, communicate the message. And I think hopefully, little by little, it's translating into, man, this guy really is doing the right thing. This is not just, for the purpose of what people think. Listen, I'm not going to say that I don't want UM to beat every team every time they go out on the field. I mean, who doesn't? So I think that's, a very positive thing. And then because, we've established what I believe to be a very good relationship, Gary, I'm going to announce for the first time on your program. I've already told you one thing that nobody knows. We're doing a specific event for the long snapper, and that's going to happen right before, probably sometime in August. We're picking the date for that. And I'm hoping I'm going to speak to the Moss brothers to try to hold it in the stadium there in Fort Lauderdale. I think it's a great location for that. But I'm going to announce, and you're the first one that you can tweet it, that we are very, very seriously moving in the right direction to trying to make a deal to buy both the Florida Marlins and the Miami Dolphins. So that is in its works. We're going to make offers, serious offers. My kids are determined and pumped about it.
Are they for sale?
Well, I always say everything's for sale.
Everything's for sale,
right? So I think we're positioned right now. I think that the Marlins need the help. My kids were baseball players, and I know baseball real well in terms of the functionality. I just think maybe maybe I'm thinking the wrong way, but I don't think so because I'm a fighter. I always think I can change everything around. I'm pretty damn sure I can get the Marlins and change it around big time, and make the Marlins not just a winning team, but a team that everybody wants to go to. It needs to have granular integration into the community. We have two teams, and I'm not criticizing. Look, I'm not a guy that criticizes anybody. I just know what I would like to do, right? So if I own the Dolphins and I own the Marlins, I would for sure make it integrated into the community, integrated into, what's nicer than seeing a boy and girls now too that either play softball or play baseball, to be able to go to watch a baseball game with a grandparent and the father of the child and have that family unit. I mean, that's really what it's all about. That's what you take with you afterwards, right?
Yeah, I used to take my kids all the time. They ruined the franchise.
Right.
Twice they win the World Series and sold the team off.
So look, I'm super, super comfortable and certain that we could make a huge change with the Marlins. And back in September, we made a proposal to come in at some level, but right now we're willing to buy the whole team. And I think we can really make it happen. Hopefully, that avenue opens up, and hopefully the community will be behind us. I think they will. They understand how we operate, and they understand that we mean good for the community. And I think if we're able to do that, I'd love to have 25,000 fans at Marlins Stadium every game, and get a winning team and get the energy back and have the right events and bring professionals and mostly bring kids back. Bring the kids with the gloves and I want to catch the foul ball and who's that player and get the autographs. I mean, isn't that what baseball is about? I just feel that we've kind of lost. I remember when I was a kid, I used to be waiting every year for the Cincinnati Reds, which were my favorite team, to play, where the Orioles had the stadium here, Bobby Maduro Park, right? And you would wait for the Dave Concepcion to sign my glove. I mean, that to me is excitement. That to me is what life is about, in that family unit and being able to do that and to share that. And I think that we've kind of lost that, and we've lost, the sense of what sports are supposed to be. I will tell you that because my kids were athletes and I deal with athletes all the time, athletes have an incredible sense of responsibility. I mean, I don't know if you know this, and I think you probably know, I have 10, 12 baseball players in our office, from Chance Mack to Julian to Tyler Page, Julian Infante that played at Westminster also. Obviously my son Johnny. We have some basketball players there we have kids that played sports that I even coached when I was, back 12 years ago. Now they're lawyers, which that's a fantastic thing.
All right, the news of the day: the NCAA is freaking out. Okay, they've lost control. A lot of people aren't doing this the proper way. You've taken a stand personally against the collectives that are forming all over the country. You're not a collective. You're a business that is operating in the NIL world and utilizing athletes for marketing purposes. The collectives are different, but the NCAA understandably probably doesn't like everything it's seeing. They had a task force that's going to make recommendations. They're looking for reform sooner rather than later. Where do you see all this going?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is call me. I can give you a lot of guidance. I think, this could turn out to be a really, really positive thing, or turn out to be a really, really negative thing. Hopefully, worst case, it kind of reaches a middle ground. We're dealing with a situation where it's like a free market with no parameters. You're getting to the point where some of these college teams will have a higher payroll, so to speak, right, than than a professional team. That's not what the intent is. Obviously, there's got to be regulation in the right way. I don't have an issue with regulation, but the problem is I remember a bumper sticker, back when I was really young, and it said, if guns were outlawed, only outlaws would have them. So rules are really made, but the people that are going to break the rules are going to break them irrespective. So what's really happened, if you really look at it, and a lot of people tweet about this, and this is the truth, a lot of this, from what I understand now, has been going on, under the table. Kids have been being paid for a long time, and this has been going on. Now, all of a sudden, the reason why people's antennas are up is, oh my God, John Ruiz is doing this, but he's doing it, transparently. What on earth is going on? So it's almost as if, and just to use an analogy, because I'm a stickler for, I don't know if I don't drink, never done a drug in my life, so it's almost like marijuana, right? People were smoking marijuana, sort of selling marijuana when it's illegal, and now you make it legal, and people are like, oh my God, I can actually do something legal that was illegal before. They kind of freak out, right? They don't even understand how to do it the right way because they're so used to doing it the wrong way, right?
Right.
My personal belief is that collective A do not pass legal scrutiny, do not pass, the intent, the spirit behind this. A collective, a 501c3 that you create for the sole purpose of paying players, I mean, what more obvious can it be than that? My companies that were in creation and existence, I didn't create Lifewallet for NIL deals. I didn't create Cigarette. I would never do that because you're basically reverse engineering that which should be prohibited. Now, there's a lot of ways that NILs work perfectly. There's so many industries, and I'll let you in on another secret. This is secret number 4 that Gary is going to learn about today. Next week, we're launching a platform called Lifewallet NIL. It's NILE, which is NIL Evaluator. And it's going to evaluate every high school player in the country and every Division I college athlete in the country. It's going to evaluate them with something that I created, and it's not going to evaluate them with a dollar figure. It's going to evaluate them with a numbering system. But that evaluation, what people don't understand is that, for example, and I don't want to, single out Nigel Pack, but I'm just going to use him because obviously everybody knows the name and they know that Nigel Pack for my company is a $400,000. I found that to be a good investment for us. And, I think we broke the bank with it in a positive way. And I think he's super happy. Everybody in the country knows who Nigel Pack is. Everybody in the country learned about Lifewallet, probably, the ones that didn't know already. It got branded like you couldn't believe because of that. Every single person knew about it. And here's the way that it really works. I mean, and you've been around sports your whole entire life. What's going to happen when UM plays again? When Nigel Pack plays the first game? You know how many conversations are going to be in households across the entire nation?
No doubt about it.
How many times are they going to say Lifewallet, John Ruiz, Cigarette? Is this guy crazy? He paid too much. He didn't play as well as they thought he would have played. But that doesn't matter to me because the value of Nigel Pack is name, image, and likeness. And not to credit myself, I'm just saying I made with my business decision Nigel Pack's NIL value. I increased it myself, right? Mm-hmm. Now, luckily we have him under contract and he's not that type of kid anyways. He's very, very thankful for everything that's going on. He and his parents are here over the weekend also. But I think that's a very important component that people need to understand of how this really works. They're just paying for. No, I don't pay to play. That's not what I believe in. Number one, I would never do that. Plus, I don't even do that with my kids. I go, you want something, you got to earn it. You better earn it, right? These players have to earn it. If they don't earn it, then they shouldn't be entitled to it. Nothing comes free in life, right? So I believe that what they learn and the education that they garner from this whole process is invaluable. I also believe that, luckily, because of everything that I do, and mostly I got to give a lot of credit to my youngest boy, Alex, which is an amazing networker. And, he knows just about everybody in the country. He knows from the race car drivers at Formula One to Dana White, to Jamie Foxx, to Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, this kid knows everybody that I don't know. These players that are in our NIL platforms get to network with all those people. You can't buy that. You can't. What you network, and sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. If you can't understand how to network, that there's so much value to that you just know people, which is incredible. And I think that's extremely important, in this whole process. And again, I think going back to your question, the NCAA's got to do a bunch of stuff. I just hope they do it the right way, because a lot of times these organizations, which are monopoly, they take the position that, that they can exert so much pressure, and, they almost become like military about the whole entire process. No, you got to work with the community. Don't create this division, right? Work with people. Don't create a division. The division is not good in any sense of the word when you're dealing with all these issues.
All right, but Tennessee goes and creates an $8 million contract for a quarterback. I'm just going to call him Nico. I think it's Imamaleva or what. I'm not great with last names sometimes, but they give him an $8 million contract and blow the NIL marketplace totally out of whack. And you're trying to create a system that gives kids value, but there's no system that would have been created that would have given Nico $8 million of value prior to this or whatever. Isn't value what somebody's willing to pay?
Well, fair market value is what a willing seller and a willing buyer are willing to meet at in terms of price. But what I was getting at before, which is the reason why I'm creating Lifewallet NIL, which is NIL Evaluator, is the value of an NIL player for a car dealer would be different than that for a restaurant. The value to Lifewallet is X, but maybe to Adidas or Under Armour, Nigel Pack may be worth $2 million a year. I don't know. Maybe it's $200,000.
Right.
Every single industry, depending on what that player brings to the table, has a fair market value for that, right? You can get a piece of real estate and you may have different functionalities for that piece of real estate, right? If you're putting residential units in it, it's got one value. If it's commercial, it's a different value. And the application that you're going to put it through determines that. I'll give you a really brief example. In 2002, I owned 166 units in the Kendall area, residential units. We had paid about $8.8 million for it, and we thought it was worth about 10.2. Somebody came and gave us a contract for $12.5 million. I thought that I had hit the biggest home run on planet Earth. I said to myself, how on earth can anybody be? It's worth 10 million. And you know what happened? They took the units, they converted them into condos, and they sold off for $27 million.
Wow.
They made $15 million. So it depends the application that you're going to put this through that determines the fair market value for the user, right? That's just the way that it works. And depending on what's going on at the moment is what the value is, right? So when we had the COVID issue, toilet paper was more expensive than any time ever in the world, right?
Right.
So, I mean, that's just the way the world works. And I think, look, what I've been able to kind of gather, because I remember that my dad told me this after I became an attorney. He goes, well, I said, Dad, now I'm an attorney. I can do everything that everybody. He goes, no, you need experience. I go, no, I read the same books that anybody else. He goes, no, son, you need experience. I have 500 years of experience, Gary. I've run a lot of businesses. I've been involved in major litigation. I've taken depots. I think I bring a lot to the table when it comes to knowledge of all these things. And, sometimes I see when people make certain, take certain steps or make certain decisions, and they do them just because they've studied it in school and they look at the four corners or whatever. But I got street smarts is basically what it boils down to. And I see it coming. I don't know if you saw that I predicted the collectives and the 501c3s like 2 days before the NCAA came out.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know if you saw that. I came out.
I saw you talking about it. Yeah, a couple days ago. You got a lot to do. I'm going to ask you one other question here, and then we'll adjourn till another day. But all right, so Lifewallet, Nigel Pack, $400,000. That's what he's worth to Lifewallet. Where is Lifewallet going with all of this? Is the goal to make Lifewallet a household name around America, and then hopefully people sign up for it, and then how do you monetize that?
So Lifewallet is biometric technology, right? So what it is basically, if you think about all data sets across the country, the way that data sets talk to each other is through what they call a relational tie-in, a database tie-in, right? So your name, Gary, sits in 150 different databases, 200 databases, but those databases do not know that it's the same Gary. When you do it with biometrics, you can start tying the information, because your face is almost like your DNA, right? It's only unique. So as we use our system to tie in doctors, patients, payors, police departments, fire rescue, car dealers, we're starting to tie in everything at all different angles, so that when you go somewhere, your biometrics can be used even to gain access to your accounts, to your apps, to your cable, to your DirecTV, whatever you want. This is the future. How does Lifewallet monetize it? It's very, very, very simple. At least in concept, it's simple. Obviously, there's a lot behind it. The more people that use Lifewallet and understand it, when you're going to go to the doctor the next time, if you register through Lifewallet, you no longer have to sit there and fill out the form. They'll never make mistakes again. When you get to the doctor's office becomes more efficient. They can see more patients. The insurance company has a lot more information. And by the way, so that I can explain to you just briefly, when a medical bill is submitted by a doctor, that medical bill goes to a payor. The biggest issue that exists for the government is fraud. People billing for services that never occurred and the person never showed up. Right. We erased that with Lifewallet, because the bill goes embedded with your biometrics. And we can know through blockchain technology if the patient was really there at what time at the doctor's office by providing that information. And we send the information, the recipient opens it up, matches the information. We just erase fraud. If you erase fraud from the system, you've now erased literally a humongous issue and problem that exists in the entire United States by way of situations dealing with, paying the wrong the wrong payer paying the bill. Those kinds of situations become a huge problem.
So the bottom line is, you need everybody out there that goes to the doctor to download and sign up for Lifewallet, and then you can incorporate it with the doctor's offices and everything. So it sounds like a long road and a lot of NIL contracts ahead to pursue that goal. Right?
Well, we already have, like, from the whole concept of what's going on between January 10th and today, with health plans and everybody that knows, we're up to, I think, 2.8 million loaded onto the system. But like with any other business, you got to get the word out. Marketing is about branding. So you got to brand, right? Yeah. We've done a great job, in my opinion, thus far in branding Lifewallet and cigarette. Everybody in the country, to a certain extent, knows what Lifewallet is about. January 10th, when we launched it, nobody knew what Lifewallet was.
Nobody had ever heard of it. No, there was no question about that.
Right. Yeah. So I think that, I think it's been spectacular thus far. We monetize our things in many different ways. So, the value to us is very significant. There's one very, important topic too, right? So Nigel Pack has 2 years to continue to promote Lifewallet for his contract. So do the other players. This is continuity. You're seeing it all the time. And I can, bend, flex, and do whatever I want with a particular issue. So we're putting a bunch of, commercials together, and it's that continuity that you see with different faces at different times, different intervals, that makes this so exciting.
All right, this weekend it's about boat races. We talked about it earlier. I'll show a couple clips, and tell people how they can participate in this weekend. It'll be offshore on Miami Beach on Saturday, I believe it is, and you have a big party at the old Herald Building location on Friday night. How can they participate?
So they go to lumenc.com LumencyRaces.com. You have it there. The tickets are free. Everything that we're doing is completely free of charge. The boat races will be out in Miami Beach between 5th Street and 22nd. The course has been set there. We'll have multiple races. One of them is an exhibition race with 4 cigarette boats. That's probably going to be the most exciting one. We got 3 515s and 150 Marauder. These are all high velocity boats, gorgeous boats. They're about $2 million boats, speeding through there at over 100 miles an hour. That'll be pretty exciting. We brought back these boat races that haven't been around here for a long, long time. There's a lot of people on the beach. We're in Formula One weekend, I believe, and don't hold me to this number. From the reports that I've heard, there's between 800,000 and 1 million people traveling down over here. I know that all the airports are slammed. Airplanes, need like even an hour for clearance to land and take off. A lot of excitement going on in South Florida right now. And I think, I would love for people to come out. I know we're already expecting thousands and thousands of people. I got the band with 60 of its members to come. Obviously, hopefully, Gary, I know that you'll be there if you can. Yeah. We supposedly Mario Cristobal is going to come. They're trying to make sure they clear it with compliance. And then we got all the players, all the NIL players. Nigel Pack will be there. The Cavender twins will be there. No Chardomier will be there. We have Tyler Van Dyke. All the athletes will be there. They can meet them. This is an opportunity to kind of meet and greet and socialize. And we got a bunch of exciting things. All of our staff is really, really excited about everything that's going on. And if you really look at it, we're packaging Sports with Lifewallet, with, cigarette racing combined all in one place. You basically got sports, bands, DJs. We got Like Mike coming, he's a very known, popular DJ. We got DJ Laz also is going to be here. So everything's, we find that to be super exciting. So the information there, it's also, available with Lifewallet on Twitter. Or if they look me up, it's John H. Ruiz, and they'll find, how to get there also and just claim their tickets. It's all free.
All coming together with a local event, which is nice. Yep. And people that are on the beach on Saturday will get to watch these boats race. Are you driving this weekend?
I'll drive a little bit. I'm not going to be in the main exhibition race because I got a bunch of people coming onto the big boat that are coming from out of town that, are going to be spectating. So we'll see how that kind of carries out.
You can go 100, right? You can handle 100?
Oh, I've been boating since I was 15. I can do 138. That's top speed. I've been driving my whole life.
All right, John. Well, thank you so much for your time. We will make this to be continued. We'll do it again. I think it's very informative for people just to get educated on NIL because it's such a big part of the college world. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll do it again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, hope that the interview with John Ruiz gave you some good insight into NIL and you understand maybe a little bit better what's going on. It's very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's going to take a lot more than one conversation to really allow you guys to capture the full picture. But I think it was a good start, and I'm glad we were able to do it today. So for our vacationing Matt Shodell today, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you once again for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you, I guess, on Monday, everybody.